Okay, so well, we are all virtual. This is pandemic time. I've come in with my pandemic hair, so don't judge me. Uh, and thank you for joining us. And I hope that this last session I keep it interesting. I promise I won't bore you guys with slides. In fact, I have very few slides. It's all going to be demos. I'll try and build things live. I'll try and keep this interesting, intriguing, and crisp. So let's get started with the session, working with Power Apps. Galleries. Simon already gave my introduction. I don't think I can beat that, but just a few quick words. I'm a Microsoft BizApps MVP and a Microsoft certified trainer. I focus on everything around the Power Platform and in the Microsoft 365 space. I do have a YouTube channel wherein I video blog about things. So if you've never checked it out, here's your chance. Go check it out. You can also connect with me on Twitter. That's my Twitter handle. The learning objectives for today's short session. Gallery control. We will look at when to use the gallery control. What does the gallery control provide to us in Power Apps? Leading into some examples of how you can style your galleries. Leading into how we can even leverage the gallery as an editable grid-like experience in Power Apps. Of course, all of this in the form of demos. And finally, I will close it up with a brief completion message on why you should be using galleries. So what's the gallery control in Power Apps? A gallery control in Power Apps basically allows you to show multiple records from a data source. And each of these records can have multiple types of data that you can showcase in galleries. Gallery is more like a repeating table. For folks who are accustomed with InfoPath, they would have known about repeating tables. Galleries work on similar lines. And each data field that appears in a gallery control, you can configure that, you can style that based on your needs. The gallery, of course, acts like a repeating control, and that's the reason why all the items in the gallery follow the same style that you've defined as part of the template item of the gallery. And the template of the gallery is nothing but the first item in your gallery. Here's a tip. When do I work with galleries? The moment you're dealing with multiple records or a collection of data, okay, anytime you're dealing with something in Power Apps that is more than one, just go to galleries. Don't think twice. I spoke about styling galleries. The out-of-the-box gallery styles that are available, they are good as starter resources, but ideally in production scenarios, you would like to style your galleries accordingly. And here are some examples of how you could potentially style your galleries. You can build horizontal galleries. You can build vertical galleries. You can build galleries that look like cards. You can build galleries that work like grids or Excel-like editable tables. You can style and design galleries the way you like it. At the same time, one of the most powerful capabilities and something that I am using more and more in my projects is the option of leveraging the gallery as an editable grid. Let's face it, everybody likes to work with their data in an Excel-like, grid-like fashion where they can quickly modify multiple items and push their changes out to the data source in one go. And that's where galleries come in extremely, extremely handy, wherein you can create that grid-like experience for your users and perform full CRUD operations, that is create, read, update, and delete against your data. And all of this in a very Excel-like fashion in Power Apps. Now let's look at all of this and what galleries are and how we can work with this, all in the form of demos. And Simon, you will have to be my prompter here. Can you see my screen that shows Power Apps right now? Simon, you may be on mute. Okay. All right. So out here in make.powerapps.com in the Maker portal, let me go ahead and build a very simple app. I will call this my work progress app. Okay, so an app that basically tracks the progress of my work. Power Apps requires you to work with data sources. Ideally, you want to store your data. For this example, for today's example, I have a very simple SharePoint list that I created right here. And all I do in this list is I just track my work items. I have different column types here that I have defined: categories, the progress of my work. These are choice columns, date columns, priority columns, and so on and so forth. Now, out here in my Power App, I would like to showcase that data to my user, basically the data that's living in my data source. In my case, my data source is the SharePoint list. So if I head back to that SharePoint list, which is my work progress tracking SharePoint list, the first step for me in my Power App would be to connect to my data source. So I will go ahead and add a new connection, in this case, connecting to SharePoint. So I'm going to connect to SharePoint, enter the URL of my SharePoint site, click connect, and my list is called the work progress tracker list. I'm going to select that and click connect. And all I've done right now is in my Power App, I've just connected to my data source. Now, as part of my Power App, I will go ahead and apply a theme. So let me pick this lavender theme. Let me add a simple header control for my app, nothing extravagant here. I believe Deepak showed you how to build a component for headers, so please do that. But for now, for this demo example on galleries, just going to add something called as the work progress tracker app. I'm going to position this in the center, maybe give this a background color of purple, give this a text color of gray. Let me increase the size. Okay, so my screen is very simple. I have a theme, I have a header in place. Now I want to showcase data from my SharePoint list in a gallery. A SharePoint list will have multiple records, and multiple records meaning you have more than one. The moment you hear more than one, think about galleries. To work with galleries, if I go to insert and head over to the gallery control, there are 6 types of layouts that are provided to you as part of the gallery controls. Once you make a selection, you cannot swap over to the other type. You would have to delete that control and re-add the next control. In this case, I'll keep it very simple. I'll just pick the first option that I see here, which is a vertical gallery, which will stack my data vertically. So I'll connect to this. And the moment I add this gallery, IntelliSense guides me to adding or connecting this to any collection or data source that I have as part of my app. I only have one, which is my work progress tracking list. So I will go ahead and connect to this list. And just like that, this gallery gets added as part of my app and it is connected to my SharePoint list. Now, if you observe the styling on this gallery, on the right-hand side, there's a property called layout. And right now it's using the style that has an image control, and it has a couple of label controls and an icon. If I head over to the tree view and if I open the gallery control, I can see all those controls right here. Here's my image, here's my title, subtitle, these are labels, here's the next arrow, and here's the separator that basically separates every record that it is showcasing here in the gallery control. I can head over to the layout and I can actually change my layout. There are multiple layout types that are provided here that I can choose from. And let's say I change this layout type here to title, subtitle, and body. And just like that, this gallery now has 3 label controls based upon the layout that I had selected. Now, this gallery control, as I said, is a repeating control. So if you would like to change any behavior or maybe build your own layout style, you would have to modify the gallery. And to modify the gallery, I would modify the template item, which is nothing but the first item in the gallery. And to do that, if you look at my gallery right here on the top left, there's a small little pencil icon that says edit the gallery. If I select this, if you observe, it has gone ahead and highlighted the first item in the gallery, the context. And what that means now is I'm in the context of the template item, and whatever modifications I make here will be reflected on all the other items in the gallery. So let's say in this case, the icon on the right hand side, I don't need it. So I'll just go and delete this. The moment I do that, if I preview this app, observe that all the items in the gallery have followed suit. If I go back to the template item and let's say I select this title or this item that shows me the progress value of my data, if I would like to see the priority value in this case, I can go ahead and replace this with priority dot value. And now if I preview the app, it's showing me the priority value for all the items in my gallery. So the first item, which is your template item, is what you can modify. And you're not limited to the layout styles. This is Power Apps. You have the full power. So if I go ahead and insert another label, I can insert a label, place it right here. Maybe I would like to add a button. I can add the button right here. I can make any modification I want to the gallery because I have complete command over the template of the gallery. If we continue looking at the properties of the gallery, so if I select the gallery context and go to the properties, we have layout. That's basically what you will choose to start with. After that, there are some other important properties that I would like you to focus on. One of them is called the template or the wrap count. The wrap count right now is showing as 1. It's a vertical gallery. And by 1, what I mean is, or what Power Apps means is, you have 1 record per row because this is a vertical gallery. Now, if I span the width of this gallery across the screen, and let's say I span the height as well. If I preview my app, you see there's a lot of real estate available on my screen, but the template has gone ahead and just placed 1 record per row. If I would like to change that, all I have to do is change the wrap count. So maybe I want to wrap this to 2 items. And now if I head over back to my gallery and maybe reposition my button, get it into the available real estate for my template, which is now smaller. If I preview the app, just by changing the wrap count, the number of items that are being represented per row has changed to the wrap count. So you can change the wrap count to define how many items will be presented in each row in case of a vertical gallery. In case of a horizontal gallery, they would be placed vertically once you change the wrap count. So you can change the wrap count. If I preview my app, I do see the scrolling experience right here. And you can even turn the scrolling experience off. There are properties available for that. So I can turn on or turn off the scroll bar. I can even go ahead and add a scrolling effect that acts like a navigation item. So you see on the bottom now, instead of a scroll bar, I get this little navigation kind of an experience. So I can change that style as well. Additionally, there's also something known as transition. So when the user hovers over a specific record in a gallery, you can define a special effect like pop or push. So let's say I pick pop and I preview my app. The moment I hover on a specific record, you will see that it kind of pops out. Again, this is a transition effect that is baked in natively to a gallery control that you can leverage to enhance your user experience further. So these are some of the key properties of a gallery that you need to be aware of. You can change the layout, you can change the template, you can play with the template, change the wrap count, and create amazing experiences for your users. Now, of course, what I just built is not an amazing experience, but let me show you an example of a sample app that I built that has 5 different gallery styles that you can choose from and apply to any of your apps. So let me swap over to my second tenant here. The first step, what I will go through is I will show you the 5 different styles of galleries, and then we will walk through how I built some of these gallery experiences. So here's my first gallery experience. I'm calling this my gallery lookbook. And right here, I have a horizontal gallery. So basically a gallery in which my items are stacked horizontally from my data source. In this case, my data source is Excel. And right here in this gallery, I have that same navigation experience that I leveraged. If you notice on the right-hand side, if I select, it's going to navigate me across all the items in my gallery. I also have used a property to change the color of the gallery. So right now, if you notice, the dark mode is on for my screen. I can change this and turn this off. And now it's going to apply the theme or the brand of my app or my site right here to my gallery experience itself. I also have a button experience here wherein I added some timer-based logic in Power Apps to show or hide certain sections in a gallery depending upon whether this button is clicked or not. So if I select this, you will observe how it opens certain elements of my gallery depending upon whether this button was selected or not. So a very simple experience of presenting data to users. For anyone who has conducted or gone through the app in a day experience for Power Apps, the data source here that I've leveraged is exactly that. And in app in a day, when you walk through the experience, they show you the standard gallery experience of that vertical gallery. And this is another design or another style of exactly that same data source. And how did I build this experience? Well, here's my screen. As part of the screen, I have a very simple horizontal gallery, and I added that by going to Insert, Gallery, and selecting the horizontal gallery experience. As part of this gallery, I added my own control. So I have an image control that's sitting right here. I have a label control that's sitting right at the top. That's the title of my item. And then I have a hidden container control. So there's a hidden control that's sitting behind these controls. If you look at the position of this, it's behind my image and behind my label control. And this has all those other properties that are basically hidden behind these controls. The next step was for me to show or hide the values of this container depending upon whether this button is clicked or not. So when I select this button, all I'm doing is setting a variable to true or false, basically changing the behavior of a variable right here. And for the container control within this gallery experience, if I head over to the property for not visible, but if I head over to the property for Y, basically the Y axis, which is my vertical axis of my screen, if you notice, the Y axis is going to change based on a value of a hidden timer control. So I have a hidden timer control that kicks off only when this variable is set to true. As the time increases, the Y property starts changing and those elements start dropping down. And that's the reason why when I select this button, it's that experience of this data showing up, but in reality, it's just the positioning of the elements that I'm playing with. So you can create experiences which have timer controls and some sort of visual appeal is what you could add to your galleries with very simple formulas like I just demonstrated right here. This entire app that I'm demonstrating right now is available for you to download for free and explore as well. If you go to the community forums, I have provided this right there. If you go to my YouTube channel, I have a video on this gallery lookbook experience. I haven't explained the details that I'm explaining right now, but as part of that video, there's a link to download the sample app. So do go ahead and check it out. So that's the first experience. I'll move over to the second experience of my gallery lookbook. Here is an experience of my items formatted as data cards. And in this case, I am leveraging the Microsoft Dataverse as my data source. And if you observe right here, how did I set up this gallery now? Now, as part of this lookbook number 2, I have this gallery right here, and this gallery is nothing but a vertical gallery. And in a vertical gallery, if I would like to set multiple records horizontally, what I have to do is change the wrap count, as I explained earlier. And as you can see right here, I've changed my wrap count to 4. And that's the reason why I see 4 records for every row in my gallery. The next thing what I did right here is as part of this gallery, I just went ahead and added my specific controls, right? I have my label control, I have my label controls, my shape control, I added all of this. And to create that card effect, I inserted a very simple shape. And to this shape, I applied a border, which is of color black, and the border size is 1. I can even change the border size to maybe 2, change the style to, dotted layout. If I preview this, you will see how my cards are now showing up in that dotted fashion. So it's basically a rectangle control that's sitting at the back that is creating that effect of a card, whereas in reality, it is nothing but a very simple, straightforward gallery experience. And for the status of my item, so based on the status value of my data, I am showing the bar on the top that shows the color, right? So you see if it's not started, the color is blue. For items that are completed, the bar color on the top is green. And how did I go about doing that? Well, once again, I used one of the shapes, which is the rectangle shape that you can add right here from the icons, right here at the bottom. And for the shape, there's a property called fill. And for this property, all I did is I added a very simple if condition that says, check the status of the item. If the task status is in progress, put the color orange. If it is deferred, put the color gray. If it is completed, put the color code for green. Else, the only option in my case is not started, so put the color blue. And just like that, I transformed a very simple gallery experience into a complete card-like experience that I'm showcasing right here. So this is gallery lookbook option number 2. Let me move over to style number 3. Now, it's not just about styling. It also has to do with the fact that you can filter your data in your galleries using some of the options that are provided right here. Now, in this case, I have a very simple gallery here, which is once again a vertical gallery, which has a wrap count of 3. So it shows 3 items. Once again, it has that card-like experience. So needless to say, I would have used that same feature as before, wherein if you look at my gallery on the left-hand side right here, I have that rectangle shape that has that little grayish tinge background to it. And that's why it is showcasing as that effect. I have my navigation. I even have the effect of pop. So when I hover on the record, it kind of pops up. Now, not just showcasing or styling galleries, you would also like to provide filtering options to your users so they can filter the data that is being showcased in the gallery. So if you look at my gallery control right now, it's showcasing me all my records from my data source, which in this case is Microsoft Dataverse. But what if I would like to change this? I would like to change this experience and show me all the data that has the priority high. The moment I pick the priority high in my drop down, if you observe, my gallery filtered the data, right? If I go ahead and check the task status, so show me everything where the task status is completed and the priority is high. The moment I pick completed, this will start applying my filter against my data source. I'm running in a bad network connection right now, and I can see that the gallery is trying to load. There you go. It's gone ahead and filtered my data, which is against my data source in this case, and applied it to the gallery experience. Now, how did I go about adding these filters and connecting, more importantly, connecting these filters to my gallery? Now, the filters on the top that you see right here are standard controls that I dropped as part of my Power App. This is a text box. This is a combo box control. This is a gallery again that I added for adding options for filtering. If you want to check how I built this out, I have a full video on this as well. And I have a few date controls that I added. Now, the key here is, how do I filter my experience of my gallery based on the selections that the user makes in those filters on the top? The gallery has a property called items. So if I select my gallery control right here, which is my main gallery, if I head over to the items property, you will note that I have gone ahead and applied formulas here. If I just apply my data source, which is called tasks, it will show me all my data. But I would like to even go ahead and filter my data. So for that, I have gone ahead and used the filter function in Power Apps to filter my data based upon the selections that the user makes in the filters associated with the gallery. So right here, I have my filters that I have defined. So for example, for the priority value in my gallery, if that matches the priority value that the user selects in this combo box control right here, then you go ahead and filter the data and show me that data. So all I've done right here is very simply added multiple filters to apply different filters to the gallery experience. So if I preview my app and once again start making selections, let's say I would like to search for everything that has the word learn in it. As I type learn, it applies that filter to my data source and gets me the data and presents it right here in my gallery experience. That's gallery lookbook option number 3, which is applying data cards to your gallery with filters. Next one is around adding pagination to your gallery control. Now, Power Apps galleries do not come with the pagination experience by design, but you can create a pagination-like experience by adding formulas to your gallery control. So if you look at my gallery control right here, when I log in or when I'm viewing this screen, it's showing me the data in my gallery and the pagination size right now is 5. If I change this to 10, it will show me 10 records. If I change this to 15, it's going to show me 15 records. Now in my data source, I believe I have like 14 records. So if I change this to 5, I'm viewing only 5 records. If I would like to change this, I can then start paginating through the different pages of my gallery. So as at the bottom, it's showing me that I have 3 pages of data. If I click next, it takes me to the next set, then it takes me to the next set. So I'm basically scanning through the different records that are a part of my data set right here. To create this kind of an experience in galleries, what I did here, at least in this scenario here, is a little bit of show hide logic. I have a standard gallery control that is hidden, that is connected to my data source. And then I created my own gallery control that connects to that hidden gallery. And based on the items in that hidden gallery, I calculate and do some maths here, as you can see, to calculate how many items I need to show, what is the page size, how much data has been returned by the data source, and how do I add all this logic to create that pagination-like experience for my galleries. Yes, you have to do work. Pagination is not an inbuilt feature in galleries, but with the power of a little bit of maths, you can easily create these kind of experiences for your Power Apps. Once again, if this is something that you are interested in, I have a full video on how to create pagination with galleries, so go ahead and check that out. And the final option that I would like to demo today is an editable grid-like experience in Power Apps, very similar to Excel. So right here, I have a data source. In this case, it's SharePoint. And I am showing the data from a SharePoint list right here in this experience. And this is also a gallery control. And as part of this gallery control, I have my controls that I have added, which are currently in view mode. So I can change the mode of my controls, and I'll show you how. If I click edit, the mode of my controls change to edit mode. So basically, here's a button to change the mode of those controls, view or edit. Okay. If I click edit, this gallery is now editable. I can make modifications and make modifications in a very Excel-like fashion. So if I select this record, click tab, it will start tabbing through the different records of my data set. And I can make changes on the fly. So sure, change the status to medium, change the status to medium, make this critical, make this low, change this to in progress, change the date of this item to the 29th. I can change things on the fly right here as part of this grid-like experience. And as I make these changes, Power Apps is keeping a track of every record that I changed. I currently changed 4 records. All those 4 records are being highlighted right here as part of my gallery. And right here on the top, I have a save button. The moment I click the save button, what's going to happen is Power Apps is going to push out all these changes at once with one query to my data source in a performant manner and update all those records in one go. Now, this is a very powerful experience because nowadays you don't want to have your users interacting with one record at a time. Typically, your experience would be to have mass editing of data, right? Working in a very Excel-like fashion. And right here, I have the full experience. I can start making modifications to my records. I can even go and undo my changes. I can view the grid, edit the grid. I can go ahead and delete records as part of my grid. I can even go and add records on the fly as part of my grid experience right here. So all of this is possible thanks to the gallery experiences and Power Apps. And for this screen, I'll just quickly go through the experience right here. If you observe this, in my gallery control right here, as I look at the items or the record of my gallery, for each of these controls, like a text box, the drop down, there's a property called display mode, and I'm changing the mode based on a variable. And as the user makes changes to any of these items or any of these controls, I have an on change function which basically selects a button. So I'm clicking a button, which is a hidden button. And I do this for every record that is changed on the fly because I want to keep track of the changes. As these changes are coming in, on click of that button, all I'm doing here is loading data into a collection. I'm maintaining those changes in a collection. And finally, when I have the changes recorded, I showcase this button right here called save. When the user clicks the save button, all I'm doing right here is just one single query that says, go ahead and patch my data source with my collection of changes. And this goes ahead, pushes out my changes, applies my changes to my data source in one go in a bulk fashion. So these were 5 examples of how you can play with galleries to create records, edit records, delete, read. You can create grid-like experiences. You can create some experiences with visual effects. You can have card-like experiences where you can highlight statuses, change colors. You can create filters for your galleries where users can filter data that they are looking at right there live as part of the gallery experience. You can add pagination to your galleries, which is not an inbuilt feature for galleries. And finally, you can have the full Excel grid-like experience as part of the galleries. So these were all my demos around working with galleries. Once again, when to work with galleries, when you have more than one records, just go to a gallery control, start using galleries, work with the template item, which is the first item in your gallery, and you can modify that and change that into any experience of your choice. Back to my presentation, there's not much to cover. I promised I'll keep the session short and crisp. I hope I've done that. And after the demo, all I had actually was to say thank you for listening in to this session.